little fear can be a healthy thing. It helps you determine which risks are worth taking. This is a quote from the hit DC series The Flash. But from comic book to real life, the risks worth taking weren't clear to Ezra Miller.
Hi, this is Ezra Miller, aka the Bengal Ghouls, the Mad Goose Wizard.
From public freakouts,
what's your name? What's your badge number? Tell me your name and your badge number.
To harming fans, to housing multiple young children, to befriending and having allegedly inappropriate contact with a young girl.
I'd like to say that it's nobody's business and that no one is owed a story.
And much more.
My 9th Amendment rights to not be unlawfully persecuted for a crime of no designation.
Ezra's personal life is extremely bizarre and concerning. You can make up anything about Ezra right now and it would sound true. Authorities are constantly involved, and now Ezra has been cited to appear in court. What happened to the DC superstar? Why did the actor go missing for a period of time? Let's unravel the allegations against Ezra Miller. Many believe fame can bring an abundance of happiness and have the power to open doors to an infinite amount of possibilities. Only a select few are able to break past the barrier of smaller films into becoming a household name. You may have heard the name Ezra Miller or seen their familiar face on the big screen. Yes, that's right, The Flash. But before Ezra earned this big title, they starred in many other roles. Ezra got their start with the movie After School, where they played a disturbed private school student who witnessed someone lose their life. Their next big break was starring alongside Tilda Swinton in We Need to Talk About Kevin, where they played the sinister Kevin Cachadorian. Their last well-known film before making it big was playing the flamboyant sibling to Emma Watson in Perks of Being a Wallflower. Then, finally, Ezra was cast in the role of Barry Allen, better known as The Flash in the DC film adaptation. They would play the Flash in a number of films, including Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and the Justice League film. Ezra would also dominate the Harry Potter franchise as Credence Barebone in the Fantastic Beasts series. They are slated to reprise their role as the Flash in the character's standalone film, The Flash. But such success didn't stop Ezra from living life away from the bright lights of LA or social media. Ezra preferred to live on their 95-acre farm in Vermont. Ezra also wasn't afraid to share their gender identity, proudly explaining what being queer meant to them. I don't identify as a man, I don't identify as a woman, I barely identify as a human. While the Flash may be a hero on screen, Ezra's strange behavior would draw attention from fans and the fandom community. What did fans find strange? It wasn't what Ezra was doing, but how Ezra was doing it. At San Diego Comic-Con in 2016, Ezra was spotted playing the piano and singing the song Work by Rihanna. While singing, Ezra suddenly shifted to a more aggressive and silly tone, which caused their voice to crack. Then, at 2018's SDCC, Ezra did an interview dressed as Toadette from Nintendo's Super Mario series, but would answer the questions in a high-pitched voice, seeming to act as the Toadette character.
Do you guys want to answer some slang terms? Oh, okay. All right. What is make whoopee?
Oh, make whoopee.
This was just a glimpse into Ezra's life. There would be more issues on the rise, leaving people concerned it wasn't just a bit, that something more could be going on. Here's a recount of all the odd things Ezra has done over the years. In a 2018 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Ezra shared some concerning information. They spoke about stardom with an air of superiority. If you watch The World, the cults of celebrity and the fanatics of celebrities, that's what governs the world now, Ezra told the magazine. Ezra also revealed they held on to a prop crossbow from their 2011 movie We Need to Talk About Kevin, but what raised eyebrows was the purpose the crossbow served in the film, which was to end people's lives. So, keeping the prop as memorabilia seemed strange to some people. However, a crossbow seemed to be the least of Warner Brothers' problems. In April 2022, Rolling Stone magazine published an article with information from a Hollywood insider, alleging Ezra had multiple meltdowns during the filming of The Flash in 2021. The insider claimed there was no yelling and that the outbursts weren't violent, but they described the star as losing it. With news of Ezra losing it making rounds, an old TikTok resurfaced from 2020 showing Ezra meeting a retail worker, seeming to make a threat.
That's an option I present people, always.
Hi.
And always just knock you out, and then you won't have to panic.
Right, you just gotta knock
You just
people
let me
out.
know.
However, a longer version of the video showed how the video was out of context, revealing a positive experience with Ezra.
I met Ezra Miller. Whoa. So when's the new Flash coming?
The Flash is already here.
But like the movie.
New, old, eternal, also terminal. I can't tell you anything.
Oh my God, that was Ezra Miller. I went up to him and I was like, Ezra Miller? He was like, the one and only. And I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy. He was like, I told him, I'm like, yo, I'm shaking right now. He was like, you want me to knock you out? It'll take it away. I was like, yo, please knock me the fuck.
But not all interactions could be saved with more context. Ezra would find themselves in a number of tricky situations. The early signs of trouble date back to June 2011. While filming Perks of Being a Wallflower, Ezra was arrested for possession of a mind-altering substance which was covering them like a quilt. Thankfully for them, they were let off and only given 2 counts of disorderly conduct and a lengthy lecture about their influence on young people. Ezra didn't agree with the situation and explained they didn't feel like there was any need to hide their behavior because it's a harmless herbal substance that increases sensory appreciation. Trouble would find Ezra again in 2017 at Comic-Con after a fan asked them about their drinking habits. The fan asked if Ezra was drunk, to which they replied they didn't because it would slow them down. Then Ezra crossed the line. They asked to smell the fan's breath, but went in for a kiss without first asking for consent. A kiss from Ezra Miller might leave some of their fans breathless, but when it happens without consent, it's not exactly endearing. Ezra wasn't shy about getting close to their fans, but next time it wouldn't be a loving gesture. Ezra would cause harm. In spring 2020, alarming footage of Ezra surfaced online showing an altercation with a fan. In the shocking video, Ezra was seen placing hands on a woman's neck and bringing her to the ground. The incident took place at a trendy bar in Reykjavik, Iceland, and it's alleged the altercation began after a fan jokingly challenged the actor, causing Ezra to lose their temper. Many found the situation to be very concerning, describing their behavior as really weird and suggesting they may be on something. Others hoped the altercation would get Ezra's role as the Flash recast. Despite the altercation taking place, nothing came of it. Ezra was removed from the situation, but wasn't arrested or charged. In 2022, the woman Ezra harmed allowed her comments on the situation to be published in Variety, explaining their interaction started off innocent, with her asking about the visible scars Ezra had on their feet. When Ezra claimed the scars were battle wounds, the woman playfully replied she could take them in a fight. Ezra seemed to take the threat personally and asked, "You really want to fight?" Thinking Ezra was joking, the woman told Ezra to meet her outside the bar in a couple of minutes, and there Ezra would lay hands on her. "I think it's just fun and games, but then it wasn't," said the woman. This wouldn't be the last time we witnessed Ezra's aggressive behavior. While in Iceland, Ezra was accompanied by a North Dakota medicine man named Jasper Youngbear. They had hired Jasper to be their spiritual advisor. However, according to a source, Jasper was telling Ezra that they weren't a part of the movement, they were the movement, that they were the next Messiah, and that the Freemasons were sending demons out to end them. When Ezra's rep was asked about Jasper, they replied Jasper was a dear friend to the actor. According to an insider, Ezra had become extremely narcissistic, called himself the Messiah, and spent a lot of time with young people because their minds were more malleable. Ezra often made extravagant promises to the youth. He was telling these kids, "You're going to be in my band, and I'm going to produce your album, and you can run my music studio." He would recruit them in a period of vulnerability, and promise them all of these things. Ezra's promises remained unfulfilled. In winter of 2022, Ezra made headlines after posting an Instagram video threatening members of a prominent racist organization.
Hi, this is Ezra Miller, aka the Bengal Ghouls, the Mad Goose Wizard, and this is a message for the Beulahville chapter of the North Carolina. Hello, first of all, how are y'all doing? It's me. Look, if y'all want to, I suggest just with your own, okay? Otherwise, keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, and you know what I'm talking about. And then, you know, we'll do it for you if that's really what you want.
In the caption of the post, Ezra revealed they weren't kidding around. Please disseminate this video to all those whom it may concern. This is not a joke, and even though I do recognize myself to be a clown, please trust me and take this seriously. Let's save some live now, okay babies? Love you like whoa. While some people were shocked at the actor's behavior, calling them wild for real, and described their speech as a plot twist, others acknowledged Ezra had a point. During Ezra's low point, it's reported they would call their employees and fire them in front of a small audience. They fired every single person, starting from business people, their parents, just every single person, one by one, said someone who was present. They'd kind of start giggling after the person would start crying or something. As the world opened back up in 2022, it meant more opportunities for Ezra's behavior to go wild. On March 19th, while most tourists were suntanning and enjoying Hawaii's many splendors, police were called to a bar in downtown Hilo. Upon arrival, police learned Ezra had gotten into a dispute with another patron. Police tried to talk to the star, but they refused to cooperate. After refusing to leave the area, Ezra was cited by police. On March 27th, the police were called to another bar in Hawaii after Ezra got into an altercation with patrons trying to sing the song Shallow from the movie A Star is Born. According to The Guardian, Ezra was yelling obscenities when the people began to sing and even grabbed the microphone from one woman. It's also alleged Ezra lunged at a man who was playing darts. Their behavior earned them a disorderly conduct and harassment charge. Luckily for Ezra, a couple they had been living with paid their $500 bail and they were released. In late March, TMZ posted a video of Ezra being denied entry into a bar, weeks before the Hawaii incidents. In the video, Ezra was waiting to enter a bar, but an employee refused to let them in. After some time, Ezra walked closer to the entrance, but the employee laid hands on Ezra to stop them from entering. Ezra was later confronted by a group of police. On March 29th, the couple who had paid Ezra's bail in the Hawaii incidents came forward asking for a restraining order. According to Radar Online, the couple had invited Ezra to stay with them at their home in Hilo after striking up a conversation with the actor at a local farmer's market. After the husband bailed out Ezra, Ezra allegedly grew hostile. The restraining order filed reads, "On March 28, 2022, Ezra burst into the bedroom of the petitioners and threatened husband, saying, 'I will bury you and your wife.' The restraining order also stated, Ezra stole the passport of wife and the wallet, which included SS card, driver license, bank cards, among other things of husband." A source told Radar Online the couple is still missing their belongings. By mid-April, the restraining order was dropped and the couple's lawyer declined to comment on the reasoning. On April 19th, Ezra found himself under arrest again after throwing a chair at a woman at a private residence in Pahoa. The woman escaped the situation with only a small mark, so she refused medical assistance. In mid-May, body cam footage was released from the Hawaii bar incident where Ezra was yelling at the singing patrons. Blurry footage showed the man who had been playing darts speaking with the police about the incident. 30 seconds into the 3-minute video, Ezra appeared to play the victim.
In that bar declared himself as a Nazi. I have it on film and he attacked me.
When the police didn't respond to their claims, Ezra began to claim their rights.
My 9th Amendment rights to not be unlawfully persecuted for a crime of no designation, disorderly conduct being something I am unguilty of. I claim my 4th Amendment rights to not be searched and seized on no probable cause that you will not be able to offer in a court of law.
The footage also showed Ezra demanding a male police officer not be the one to search them, as they identify as non-binary transgender. As tensions were at an all-time high between Ezra and the state of Hawaii, the internet took the time to make fun of the situation. The islands of Hawaii were created by a force of nature, volcano, and they will be destroyed by one, Ezra Miller crime spree. I live in Hawaii, so I cannot focus on the Twitter hate right now. I am busy one-on-one battling Ezra Miller. You are statistically more likely to be attacked by Ezra Miller than a shark. However, Ezra wasn't laughing. More footage of the Hawaii bar incident was released by TMZ, showing Ezra in the back of a police car. Ezra can be seen asking the officer if their body camera is on, and then suddenly complaining about the pain from the handcuffs.
Please do not damage my nerves in my hands again. It'd be really, really awful for me.
Ezra became upset and reprimanded police after the officer recording called them sir.
Sir. I'm sorry, I'm not a sir, I'm transgender, non-binary, please don't refer to me as sir, it's not a bigotry.
I was just trying to be respectful.
You failed to do that again, that is an act of intentional bigotry and it is a technical hate crime according to U.S. federal law.
During their time in Hawaii, Ezra's divorced parents allegedly flew in to try and get the actor some help. Ezra's friend claimed Ezra showed them and their other friends a video of the emotional reunion between Ezra and their parents. He was like, "Isn't this the most fucked up shit you've ever seen?" Ezra allegedly bragged about punishing their father over Ezra's parents' divorce, a source told Vanity Fair. They were like, "Nobody's ever been treated as badly as I've treated Bob Miller in the past year." They were like, "I think it's gonna make us ultimately much closer in the future." Being a danger in public wasn't the only situation Ezra was guilty of. They also caused havoc in their personal relationships. In late April 2022, TikToker Mia Solange came forward claiming to have had a relationship with Ezra and that the actor harmed them while they were together. In a now-deleted TikTok, Mia posted photos of the pair together while a sound clip from the film Coraline said, "You are in terrible danger." In the caption of the video, Mia added more context. "You took everything from me. Ezra Miller is not a good human, and I can finally say so without being terrified. Abuser." Twitter user Lots of Gay Crimes, aka Ren, posted and deleted text messages between themselves and Mia, where Mia claimed Ezra was off their rocker. Mia also claimed Ezra misgendered them during an intimate encounter. The alleged messages read, "We getting intimate one time, and he knows I use they/them pronouns and still stroked my hair and said, 'Good girl.' Mind you, I am 19. They also claimed Ezra would bite them during the intimate experiences. Mia backed up their claims by showing a picture of the bruises they claimed they received from Ezra. This wasn't the first time Ren would appear in the Ezraverse. Dating back to 2017, Ren claimed there were a number of instances where they believed Ezra was following them virtually. When they contacted Ezra about the suspicious behavior, they received a message from Lila Larson, Ezra's bandmate, asking them to stop giving the actor a hard time. They also claimed they were served an ex parte on behalf of Ezra, which is an emergency restraining order. The reason for this was because Ezra was concerned for their safety. Ren had been posting photos of dangerous items used for defense. With Ezra causing trouble publicly and privately, Ezra's workplace struggled with what to do about their troubling star. The Flash is one of the key members of the DC Extended Universe, and Ezra had already appeared as the character in several movies, as well as completed filming the Flash's standalone movie. According to Rolling Stone, Warner Brothers and DC executives held an emergency meeting on March 30th to discuss Ezra's future with the studio. A knowledgeable source told Rolling Stone the result of the meeting was to pause any future projects that involved Ezra. Given the positive feedback from early footage of The Flash, it was slated to be a box office hit, pushing Ezra into further stardom. Rolling Stone reached out to Ezra's reps and Warner Brothers, but both declined to comment. Not long after Rolling Stone's article was published, a source told IGN the meeting never took place, and dismissed the claims as exaggeration. It was becoming unclear what the studio's plans were for Ezra's future and the future of the Flash franchise. However, the DC Universe subreddit had plenty of thoughts on Ezra's future. I think the best course for DC is to push the film out as fast as possible, but reshoot the ending, so that when Flash alters the timeline, it's a different actor at the end. That way, the whole movie isn't lost, but they get their reboot without an actor that will inevitably result in boycotts and protests. They can have a message apologizing to their victims in the credits, and promise a percentage of the profits for their victims so people won't feel bad about giving them money by seeing it. Am I the only one who thinks that people and Warner Brothers are being way too nice regarding Miller after all the stuff that has happened? I think that Miller is just way too gone and needs to be put in prison. They need to be put in prison or some sort of confinement so that they stop harming any more people. The DC Universe is special to so many people. For decades, young and old have lined up to purchase comic books of their favorite superheroes saving the day. Even in an age of technology, nothing can take away the feeling of crisp printed comic pages. So fans were upset when DC canceled the 3-part comic series that was meant to be a prequel to the Flash film. The Flash, the Fastest Man Alive series by Kenny Porter and Ricardo Lopez Ortiz, was scheduled for release at the end of April. However, when the movie got pushed back, so did the comic's release. Despite all this news, the artist for the second issue, Juan Ferreira, claims the issues weren't canceled and were to be printed at a later date so they would be closer to the release date of the movie. According to Rolling Stone, Juan isn't the only comic artist to comment on Ezra's situation. DC comic writer Grant Morrison reacted to Ezra's legal troubles. "I know they've had these problems. I haven't spoken to them for a while. All I can say is that it's just not the person I know. Ezra cut off contact from pretty much everyone for a while." Ezra's actions not only affected the movie industry, the star also had a whole other troubling situation with the music industry. In mid-May, 2 musicians accused Ezra of stealing their music. Music producer Oliver Ignatius had been a friend of Ezra's since they were a teen, so when Ezra asked for his help with a new musical project, though he was apprehensive, he agreed. Oliver spoke with Rolling Stone, claiming Ezra's behavior had been strange from the beginning. They were going through a scorched earth type fallout with their Hollywood career. They were severing many of the relationships in their life and seemed to be on a very dangerous spiral. Oliver described working with Ezra like pulling teeth. He had great hopes for their music project, but it just didn't pan out as planned. In an attempt to fix up the music, Oliver took the project home to make personal tweaks and also added a verse from Philadelphia-based rapper Gase Guevara. When Oliver introduced the song to Ezra and Gase, Ezra was hostile. But what for? What could be so triggering about the song? Oliver explained the song was about a female friend whose life had been taken by her husband, and the song was meant to examine patriarchal violence with grace. They were completely triggered by the song, which totally freaked me out, because basic feminism is a really hard line. If we don't agree that violence by a man against a woman isn't something worth speaking on, then we don't agree on much. Ezra's behavior throughout this exchange was atrocious, belligerent, threatening, and incredibly aggressive, Oliver said. And with that, Oliver quit the project on moral grounds. That night, Ezra would leak the unfinished music in its entirety on a SoundCloud playlist they put in their Instagram bio. They released the songs under the pseudonym Negative Ghostwriter. Naturally, both artists were hurt by Ezra's actions. They stole from artists that have fewer resources than them, but maybe have art that Ezra wants. The person I thought I knew was a much gentler soul than the person that we're seeing right now. It's been a very concerning journey, Oliver explained. Oliver and Gase said they spoke up because they wanted credit for their work and to stop Ezra from doing something like this again. Gase was paid for his work on the tracks, but Oliver said he plans to take Ezra to court to have the music taken down and to deal with possible other damages. Both musicians wished Ezra the best and hope they're able to get the mental health help they need. There's no question Ezra was a magnet for trouble, but the real outrage began when news broke of Ezra's alleged relationship with a young indigenous activist. In 2018, Sleek magazine interviewed Ezra and their band Sons of an Illustrious Father, where they shared talk tools for survival and the power of music. Ezra invited then 14-year-old Gibson Iron Eyes, formerly known as Takata, a protester for the Dakota Access Pipeline, to host the interview. Ezra described Gibson as a movement leader and activist superstar. The interview appeared innocent at the time. No one would predict this 14-year-old would become such an important part of Ezra's life. Fast forward to June 8, 2022. The parents of Gibson, Chase Iron Eyes and Sarah Jumping Eagle, accused Ezra of taking advantage of their child. They told the Los Angeles Times Ezra had been involved with the teenager since they were 12 and Ezra was 23. On June 10th, Gibson's parents spoke up again, telling the Los Angeles Times that Ezra was physically and emotionally harming and manipulating their child. Court documents were quickly created, describing the situation as Ezra endangering the safety and welfare of Gibson. The tribal court's order would bar Ezra from contacting Gibson and their parents for at least 30 days and would require them to stay 100 yards away from the family home. However, tribal court and police have been struggling to find Ezra's whereabouts and as a result are unable to serve them the documents. They've been flighty, they've been avoiding service, and now there's public pressure mounting on them to make a decision, which makes us very concerned about Ezra's volatile nature. We're working very hard to get this order enforced wherever they are. Under tribal court rules, although Gibson is 18 years old, their parents are still considered their legal guardians. The family claims they've tried to obtain temporary order of protection from Ezra for Gibson in hopes to get them away from Ezra and in for psychiatric evaluation. What about the big question? How did Ezra meet then 12-year-old Gibson? It's reported the pair met at a Dakota pipeline protest at Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota in 2016. Ezra had been involved in the projects of the Sioux tribe and was working for the land back reclamation movement. According to the petition for the restraining order, Ezra took an immediate and apparently innocent liking to Gibson Iron Eyes. Gibson's parents grew concerned over the friendship and accused Ezra of cult-like and psychologically manipulative, controlling behavior. The petition also accused the star of giving Gibson alcohol and illegal substances and flying them all over the country. Gibson's parents claimed they only gave Gibson permission to fly to London in 2017 for the premiere of Fantastic Beasts. However, they also claimed that on that trip, Ezra tried to share a bed with Gibson and a chaperone had to stop them. It's also claimed that while Gibson had identified as non-binary, queer, gay previously, Ezra had decided for them they were non-binary transgender. According to Vanity Fair, Ezra claimed they were fated to be with Gibson. A source close to the pair said, Ezra is Jesus, and Gibson's an apocalyptic Native American spider goddess, and their union is supposed to bring about the apocalypse. That's the real reason everyone is so opposed to them being together. Sarah Jumping Eagle, Gibson's mother, explained the questionable behavior she witnessed from Ezra. If anybody questions Ezra's actions, Ezra says they're being racist or transphobic, which is not the case in our case. One Indigenous insider told Vanity Fair that despite Ezra's fixation on Indigenous cultures, not everyone finds them respectful. They profess that they walk through this world with an Indigenous humility and spiritual awareness, but point of fact, they don't at all, because they don't care. TMZ later reported that Ezra had offered to pay for Gibson's schooling, and their parents believe Ezra held it over their head to manipulate them. However, in December 2021, Gibson had dropped out of the private institute. Sarah believed Ezra was the cause, as Ezra disrupted Gibson's schooling so much. Then, in January 2021, Gibson's parents flew to Vermont to pick up their child, but found Gibson was missing items such as their driver's license, car keys, bank card, and other items they would need to live independently. But the most shocking allegation was what they allegedly found on Gibson's body, bruises, and they believed they were caused by Ezra. Gibson's parents also allege it was Ezra's idea for Gibson to change their name, as Gibson was a name they had formerly only used with family and friends. Gibson's mother claimed the last time they had seen Gibson was in Santa Monica, California on May 29th in a distressing street encounter. Their parents had received a tip Gibson and Ezra were in California and flew in from North Dakota in hopes of bringing their child home. However, once confronted, Ezra and Gibson left in a taxi. Gibson's mother claimed her child was like a zombie and very, very thin the last time they'd seen them. Appearance wasn't the only concerning thing the parents noticed. Gibson was also struggling mentally. According to documents from the Order of Protection posted by Daily Mail, Ezra had given Gibson a potent hallucinogen, which caused Gibson's mental state to deteriorate quickly. It got bad enough that Ezra had to call Gibson's parents to come. They reported Gibson had screamed so much while under the influence they had lost their voice. Gibson's parents also said Ezra had an obsession with a prominent racist organization who they believed burned down a friend's house. Ezra's obsession would find its way into Gibson's life by allegedly instilling paranoia in the teenager about the organization. Gibson is compelled to go along, and they are subjected to heightened anxiety, impending violence, firearms, narcotic use, and overbearing fear of this armed situation. To this day, Gibson is paranoid about the organization surveilling them, tracking them, and generally being a target of the organization. In the January trip to pick up their child from Vermont, Gibson's parents spent 3 weeks helping Gibson detox from substances and claimed their child was unable to function properly until 10 days into the detoxification process. During the time they were there, 2 alleged former friends of Ezra's claimed they saw them using threats of violence, extreme yelling, and aggressive outbursts at Gibson. Ezra Miller aggressively got in her face, calling her a and asking her, "What are you putting makeup on for, you bitch?" Ezra also called Gibson a thieving bitch. The documents also alleged Ezra told Gibson they had an addiction to intimate activities, and they convinced Gibson to sleep with Ezra to help cure it. Gibson's parents also claimed they heard through friends of friends Gibson had been seen with a black eye and that Ezra wasn't allowing them to eat at times. The parents worry Gibson is having a mental breakdown and hope to get them evaluated. In the midst of Ezra and Gibson's messy relationship, there was another person involved. A woman from London named Rosie claimed to have had a relationship with Ezra and Gibson. Multiple people have claimed Ezra left Rosie and Gibson stranded without transportation or money, trying to humiliate them. Ezra also claimed on multiple occasions that they were Gibson's adopted guardian, but Ezra's actions contradicted their statement, as they allegedly left Gibson without a phone, money, underwear, socks, or even shelter on numerous occasions. It's alleged there were multiple times the pair slept in a polyester tent they had pitched on top of a volcano. But with every scenario, there's always 2 sides to the story, and Gibson was ready to shock the world. On June 6th, Gibson shared a 4-page message about their situation, dismissing their parents' concerns. I'd like to make a statement to acknowledge the tragedy that is the narrative of the general public and the assumptions made on my behalf by my family and friends regarding my stability and otherwise. I dropped out of Bard 5 months ago. My friend and comrade William passed shortly thereafter. My mind was incredibly impacted, and I've needed space and time for the processing of grief. My comrade Ezra Miller, for the entirety of the aforementioned era, has only provided loving support and invaluable protection throughout this period of loss. They called their father transphobic and claimed they are now aware of the manipulation they faced from their parents. Gibson claimed they had found a new therapist and was excited to speak with a mental health professional. They also added any involvement with police would be a waste of police time. They finished their post by calling out their parents for their blatant betrayal and toxicity, and called their behavior desperately embarrassing and traumatically life-altering. The statement came as a shock to the public after all the media coverage and legal documents, but Gibson would shut down rumors with an Instagram video.
I've become aware that some people are saying that my statements were not written by me. I'd like to clarify that they are, in fact, directly from me. Nobody is controlling my Instagram account. I don't have a phone right now out of my own personal conviction. And honestly, it's really distressing that the narrative of the victim in question is not being granted any trust. I worked really hard to make really clear what was going on. And if the statements are too profoundly contrasting to whatever assumptions those of us have garnered and have chosen to carry, I'd like to say that it's nobody's business and that no one is owed a story.
Despite Gibson's words of reassurance, people were still concerned. You should at least talk to your parents directly. If you are upset with them, let them know. They're just worried about you, and that's a good thing. You were speaking so high as fuck. This is awkward. They also had a lot of support. There is so much of this situation that ain't right in any way, shape, or form. Support you 10,000%. The news and the media are total shit. Don't give importance to them. Only you know what is happening now in your life. Concern would grow when Ezra took to Instagram to taunt the authorities before deleting their account. Me remembering how I was nice when I should have said, "Who the f do you think you're talking to?" Me, people, headache. I am shielding from negative people and their ill intent. My spirit, mind, body, soul, and success are not altered by anyone's envy. I am protected from all negative energy people attempt to throw at me. Subconsciously and consciously, I clear any and all hidden peers who are hidden enemies. Message from another dimension. You cannot touch me. I'm in another universe. In mid-June, a studio source claimed even if there weren't any more accusations, it would be unlikely Warner Brothers would keep Ezra on as the Flash, according to Deadline. The studio claimed they tried to get Ezra help, but the troubles continued to pile up. While rumors of Ezra's relationship with Gibson continued to swirl, another family came forward. In June, a mother and her 12-year-old child traveled to a courthouse to be granted a temporary harassment prevention order against Ezra. On the evening of February 2nd, the mother of the child claimed to be visiting Ezra and some friends at a friend's house when she learned Ezra was wearing a bulletproof vest and, would find out later, was armed. As the group continued to talk, a friend called out Ezra and questioned a statement they made about the board game Parcheesi having roots in Rastafarianism. This upset the star and they began to scream obscenities at the neighbor. The situation quickly escalated when Ezra pulled back their jacket, revealing a firearm, and said, "Talking like that could get you into a really serious situation." The mother claimed after the altercation, Ezra began to focus their attention on their child, who identifies as non-binary. According to the mother, Ezra allegedly said, "I've talked extensively with your child, and they have a lot of power to them. At one point, you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore. They're an elevated being, and they would be lucky to have someone like me guide them." Then Ezra allegedly screamed at the mother again before turning their attention back to the child and complimenting them excessively. The child explained they were uncomfortable, nervous, and scared to be around Ezra after Ezra made their mother cry by yelling at her. Ezra would continue to bother the family from late April until early June. During a visit in April, the mother alleged Ezra made her child uncomfortable by hugging the child intensely. In the end, the family claimed Ezra menaced them. From a legal standpoint, menacing can be described as a crime governed by state laws, which vary by state, but typically involves displaying a weapon or a course of conduct that intentionally places another person in reasonable fear of physical injury or death. If the allegations are true, it's understandable that the Massachusetts court granted them protection. But the allegations didn't end there. Ezra would be associated with 3 more children. On June 23rd, Rolling Stone reported Ezra had been hosting a 25-year-old mother and her 3 children at their home in Vermont. The children's father was worried after sources expressed concerns the living arrangement wasn't safe. According to the sources, Ezra had a number of dangerous items used for defense strewn about their home. One source claimed they saw the mother's 1-year-old child put a loose in their mouth. However, the mother of the children painted a different picture, claiming the star saved her from a harmful ex. Ezra's home ranch has been a healing haven for us. They may have firearms for self-defense purposes, and they are stored in a part of the house that the children never go in. My kids are able to relax more into their healing because of the safety and nurturing Ezra has been providing for them, the mother told Rolling Stone. The mother and her children had been living at the Vermont farm since April. The children's father claimed Ezra flew his family out of Hawaii without his knowledge, and he hasn't been able to see or speak with his children since. The father has been trying to remove them from the farm since April. Video footage from April, reviewed by Rolling Stone, allegedly showed a number of self-defense items lying around the house, with some propped up beside piles of stuffed animals. Sources also told Rolling Stone marijuana was heavily used and a large amount of the plant was being grown on location. Rolling Stone confirmed with Vermont's Cannabis Control Board that Ezra is not one of the state's 25 licensed cultivators who are allowed to grow more than 6 plants and sell to wholesalers. And as with any concerned parent, a phone call to Child Services was made, but nothing came of it. According to text messages between the father and a Vermont social worker who visited Ezra's home in May, the kids allegedly looked good. It's not clear if the social worker has returned since. When reached for comment, Vermont's Department for Children and Families said it does not provide information regarding home visits. The internet would once again turn the situation into a meme. On page 53 of Indeed, dreaming about living on Ezra Miller's farm. Ezra Miller is holding me captive at his farm. Even the TikTok community had their input. POV, reading a headline that starts with the words Ezra Miller, followed by the most bone-chilling, villainous combination of words ever imaginable by mankind. On August 10th, Rolling Stone reported Vermont's Child Services Department was looking for the young family living with Ezra, but was unable to locate them. The Vermont State Police tried to locate the mother to serve her with an emergency care order, which would require her children to be removed from the situation for their safety. When confronted, Ezra said the family hadn't lived there for the past 2 months. Authorities showed up at Ezra's ranch twice that weekend in an attempt to serve the mother, but their efforts were futile. The court order revealed that Ezra's statement contradicted information that the DCF caseworker presented to the court in her affidavit, as mother was posting on social media in late July 2022 that the caseworker recognized as the inside of Miller's residence. The mother had been active on social media up until mid-July when she deleted her account. Despite making headlines, Ezra still couldn't stay out of trouble. On June 30th, Deux Mois, an anonymous celebrity gossip website, posted Ezra had been seen in Tokyo getting in a pub fight with another famous actor who was the star of a big movie. They claimed Ezra hit the actor before being kicked out by security. Rumors claimed the actor was Austin Butler, but TMZ later confirmed this wasn't true. Sources close to Austin claimed the actor never stepped foot in bars while promoting his movie, Elvis, in Tokyo. TMZ also spoke to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, which confirmed they had no record of the incident. The trouble Ezra would cause was not limited to one country. Next was Germany. On July 3rd, Variety published an article alleging Ezra was harassing a woman in Germany. The woman, who was called Nadia in the article, claimed to have had a 2-year friendship with Ezra. Back in February 2022, Nadia said she invited the actor to come stay at her Berlin apartment one night. After Nadia told Ezra they couldn't smoke in her home, they began to get aggressive. I asked them to leave about 20 times, maybe more. They started insulting me. I'm a transphobic piece of shit. I'm a Nazi. It became so stressful for me. They were going around my house looking at everything, touching everything, spreading tobacco leaves on the floor. It felt disgusting and very intrusive, Nadia told Variety. Nadia said she felt like a broken record when she repeatedly told Ezra, "Leave my house, go away, leave, can you leave now?" Even with Nadia's insistence, her cries went ignored. Ezra entered Nadia's bedroom and began to get upset. They started to shout that they were a rape survivor and I was triggering them. They started to say I had assaulted them, I had hurt them. Nadia was eventually able to block Ezra by her apartment door and managed to get the star to leave. I told them I was calling the police because they were refusing to leave, she said. Ezra finally left after Nadia called the police. Around 6 a.m., only 30 minutes after Ezra left, there was a loud banging at her door. When she looked outside and saw Ezra attempting to break down the door, screaming Nadia had stolen their passport from them. Nadia searched her apartment and found a coat Ezra had left behind that contained their passport and credit card. She threw the coat down to them and went back inside, hoping her troubles were over. Ezra texted Nadia minutes before, but Nadia didn't see their text until days later, when she was examining them with a social worker. In April, Nadia filed a criminal complaint about her experience with the German state prosecutor's office in Berlin. However, since Ezra has left Germany, the investigation has been dropped. With news of Ezra and Nadia's harmful relationship, Ezra's ex-fiancée spoke up. She said she didn't recognize this side of Ezra. The Ezra I knew wasn't physically harmful toward anyone. For years, they convinced me and all our friends that I was abusive. But looking back, I would be calling out their disrespect and they wouldn't take responsibility and just call me abusive because of my reaction. I could have handled it better. I didn't know the term gaslight back then. She added Ezra broke up with her after his spiritual advisor told Ezra their fiancé was a parasite. So, where was Warner Brothers during all this chaos? Would they still be supporting Ezra's role as Barry Allen? Despite Ezra's controversial behavior, there are rumors Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav is continuing to support the film. On August 10th, Consequence Film alleged that Ezra was called into the studio multiple times for regularly scheduled additional photography for The Flash while the star was elusive. It is unknown exactly when the shooting took place. Then, on August 11th, a source with knowledge of the situation alleged the studio is preparing for 3 possible scenarios, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Scenario 1. Ezra would seek professional help after returning home to Vermont and later give an interview to explain their erratic behavior over the past few years. Then, Ezra would do limited press for The Flash and the movie would make it into cinemas as planned. Scenario 2. If Ezra does not reach out for help, The Flash could still be released, but Ezra won't play a prominent role in marketing and publicity. Furthermore, Ezra's role would be recast in future projects. Scenario 3. If Ezra makes things worse, the $200 million movie would have to be scrapped outright, as it cannot be reshot with a different actor. This is because Ezra plays multiple characters and is in almost every scene. The source also mentioned Ezra has been spending time with their mother in recent days, so it's possible they may receive the guidance needed during this chaotic time. Nearly a week later, on August 15th, Ezra broke their silence. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life, Ezra told Variety. Until further news, everyone is waiting to see if Ezra's words hold any weight. You can't let the threat of losing tomorrow keep you from making the most of today. A famous quote by DC's Barry Allen. But making the most of today seemed to have a different meaning to Ezra. Personal beliefs and views with the lack of self-composure would lead Ezra down a path of destruction, causing public disturbances, stealing from fellow creators, and harming others. But the worst of all was Ezra's enjoyment with influencing the youth in unexpected ways. Unpredictable, chaotic, and bizarre, Ezra's story doesn't seem to be over yet. Will they face the consequences of their actions? Until then, this is the story of Ezra Miller, the superhero who can't stop getting in trouble.